obviously exciting day for us, first day of training camp, and waking up this morning I think was always a little bit more exciting because it's day one. It was a beautiful day. I think it was the Hutchinson Parkway I came in on. It was early in the morning, the sun was coming up. Absolutely beautiful. But then getting here and having the entire group here at camp, 58 players. We had a meeting at 8 o'clock this morning, and it was really good just to get everybody together for the first time and just talk about it being day one. From there, with physicals with the doctors to off-ice testing to some media obligations outside, and some videos that had to be, we have to go through. And so just a good first day getting these guys together, and we're looking forward to tomorrow. So it'll start to ramp up from here. So everybody's excited.
You said you had a meeting. Was there any big talk today, or is the day kind of just early, preliminary kind of?
It was early. It was a lot of times these meetings are just to talk about camp and how they're going to move. Just try to get through camp and the direction that we want to move, what we expect. I guess the one message, coming from me to the players is every day, come in and try to show your greatness and try to own that every day. Because at the end of the day, inside of a team sport, we need players to be great. And so that was the message inside of that meeting.
8 a.m. Do you always like to start that early?
Yeah, it's early. I mean, it's not early for me. I'm a pretty early riser, but might be early for some of the players. But it was good. It was a good first meeting.
Everyone check out, and the
Yeah.
physicals, there's no issues?
Yeah, everybody's good. So it's we're all full speed ahead tomorrow, and again tomorrow will be more testing, and we'll start to really ramp into systems and more of the practice mode that you're used to seeing. That'll be 2 days from now.
What went into your preparation? New job, new coaching staff, getting to know players. How do you approach this, and has it been something that you've been in a few different places? Is it something that you?
Yeah, I think I think I'm experienced at it now. So, but it's always a lot coming into an organization. There's a lot of faces that you have to learn, and even the players that you're not that familiar with, minor league players, junior players, all players that are here up trying to make the New York Rangers. So there's a lot of people, a lot of staff coming through here that you have to get up to speed with as well. And so that's one part of it. I think too, just the organization of camp, trying to make sure that it, and then again, kind of the message this morning, just trying to make sure that you move the camp smoothly through each day, because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people that have to be moved, and so that there's a lot of planning that goes into that. And so outside of the personal part of it, trying to meet players and establish relationships, there's also the details of the camp, and so we try to spend a lot of time on that as well.
You have a preseason game on Sunday. Do you feel like you have to hit the ground kind of running to kind of get ready for that?
I think when we get into the 2 days from now, when we really get into the practice, we're going to work on, we'll push the pace and we'll get the guys moving, but we'll get into a lot of the systems going one way, and then the second day we'll get a lot of the systems coming back the other way. So I think when we get the objective for me going into that game, because you're right, it's only a few days into camp, and there'll be a mixed lineup in that first exhibition game, but you still want to work on the game and work on the systems part of things. And so when we get to that, we'll have touched on a good majority of what it is that we want to do and how we want to look on the ice. And I'll guarantee you it won't be perfect, but it's a starting point, and it's something to coach from there and to get better at.
What was your takeaway from the past few months, the get to know you process with the players in
Yeah.
particular? Like, what was your general reaction to what you heard from them, I guess?
Yeah, so I think that anytime there's change, there's always, I think, the first bit of change that makes it change, and you're a little bit not shocked, but it's new, and you're not sure of what the future holds, and then there's a new coach that comes in place. For me, at that point, there's not a lot that you can do. It's not like you can get out on the ice and work with players. It's more about just trying to reach out and establish a relationship. And so I talked to all of the players here last year. I tried to talk to a lot of players, a lot of staff. I had a lot of really good conversations with Jacob Trouba. I thought that was really important. Between meetings, just casual meetings in my office or going to dinner, just spending time. I mean, I already knew him already, but just just starting that process. And then from there, leadership groups and stuff like that that we can start to get into now that, you know, we're back on the clock and we're working. So I'm really looking forward to, there's a great group of guys in there, great group of human beings, and a really great group of hockey players as well. And so I'm looking forward to establishing relationships off the ice as well as on the ice.
A couple of things. First, do you envision,
Go slow. One at a
do you
time.
envision keeping the same group of captains, alternate captains? Are you going to leave that, or are you going to examine that? And the second is kind of the same. When you look at this team now, do you have an idea of what you want to see as far as who's going to play with who, or is it going to be a lot of just trial?
Yeah.
And, you know, trial and error the first?
So with regard to the first part of your question, I've talked to the guys that have the captain and the assistant captains that are in place. I don't foresee any changes with that group. They're an established group of veteran hockey players that, you know, have had some sort of success with this team, and obviously we're striving for ultimate success. And so, you know, I don't foresee anything. My eyes are open to see, you know, who else is proving themselves as a leader as well. And maybe there is no change with regard to that, or maybe there is. I'm not sure at this point because I haven't been on the inside enough to answer that question. But you know, with regard to what my expectations are with regard to the lines, there's going to be, you know, 2 days from now, there's going to be lines that come out, and they won't be the same the next day. And so I want to look at different parts and different pieces through training camp and see if there's a connection with any of the players, and give players opportunity to show what they can do in different situations. And the same thing holds true for the exhibition games. We're going to put players in spots to prove and give them a chance to earn what they want to earn at training camp. And they'll get those opportunities in practice, they'll get those opportunities in exhibition games, and we're hoping that people push forward and really rise to the top and grab those opportunities and run with them. So it'll change through training camp, and I really am a little bit wide open. I want to be wide open coming in here with what I see and evaluate it from that standpoint.
Do you, when you get lines on the ice, is Alexis Lafreniere going to be on the left side or the right side?
So he's going to place some on the right side. I'm going to give him looks on the right side.
Do you envision him being on the right side at the start of camp? Or is
I
that-
do.
Yeah.
I do.
And
That's not to say that he might not move back to the left, but yes, to answer your question, he will be on the right side to start camp.
when you have a guy who's played the left early in his career, and whether he's comfortable or uncomfortable moving to the right in the beginning years, or it wasn't moved there because of the coach, whatever it was, what do you look for now? What do you need to see to know if he can fill that spot on the right side as you watch him in camp? What are you looking for?
So Mike, I did have conversations with him. It's not like I, you know, did it blindly. I had conversations with him about playing the offside, and he expressed to me that he is comfortable with that and looks forward to that opportunity. So I'm looking forward to giving it to him to see what he can do. Again, that doesn't mean that you're not going to see him on the left side in camp either, but you know, to your point, when we do get into lines in 2 days, he will be on the right side.
Are you looking like to see how the comfort level, where he receives the puck?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit. I find a lot of players can handle it. Some players, you know, they're so talented they can play both wings. Some of them can play center. Some people can play all three positions. And so, I do think it's a little bit different. He says he has done it in the past, and he'll get that opportunity in camp.
What's your message to some of the younger players when you have a veteran group about,
Yeah.
you know, fighting for?
The message is my eyes are wide open. The staff's eyes are wide open. Come in here and take what you want, push for what you want, and I'm sure we won't miss it.
Since you do have a group that's kind of been together for a while, there are a lot of pairings and combinations that have been together for a while, but when you look at something like Adam Fox and Ryan Lindgren, who have played a majority of their career together, do you value that familiarity, or are you inclined to maybe try something new?
I'm inclined to try something new at camp as well. And so I know that there's been success there, and I know that it's a good pairing, and I know what the pairings were last year, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be that way through every practice, and it doesn't mean that they're going to be that way in the exhibition games. it's an opportunity for me coming in new to knowing that there was some success there by the success the team had, by analytics, by whatever it might be, by my eyeball watching a game, you can understand that there's some success there. That doesn't mean that you can't try something different as well and see how that looks.
You said at your introductory press conference that, you have to adapt a little bit to the players, right?
Right.
Because the players are the players and whatever has made them successful in the past and stuff. How much of a balance is it, or where do you strike the balance between how you want the team to play versus how works for these players?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There's a lot of talent and there's a lot of skill on this team, and I understand that. I can talk about teams that I've coached that have had some success. There's a certain identity to the way they play. I could also talk about teams that make it deep into the playoffs, to the Final Four, to the Final Two, to Stanley Cup champions. There's a certain attitude that they play with as well. There's a work ethic that goes behind that, and so I think it's a combination of both. I've never wanted to be only a skilled team, and I've never wanted really to be just a hard-working team. When you can combine the two and you can get them on the same page, which is the purpose of training camp. It's to establish your identity, it's to work on it, it's to make the mistakes, to fix the mistakes, to gain confidence with what you're doing on the ice. I feel like when that happens, then the team starts to get confidence in the way that they're playing. So I don't know if it's just the skill that you're looking for or just the work ethic. For me, it's a good combination of both.
But in terms of style, I think you mentioned puck pursuit
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
when you talk. If you have a guy who plays on the perimeter, you make that guy forecheck.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy will fortune. So I think that when it comes to a system, and it's not always perfect with regard to the details of how that goes, but I do believe that a team has to get on the same page. And so that's my job and responsibility, is to take a group that at the end of training camp we call the New York Rangers, and to get them on the same page.
Peter, you had talked about your early discussions with Jacob Trouba. What historically do you look for in a captain, and how do you feel Jacob fits that criteria?
My conversations with him have been excellent. He is, and I knew him from before as well. He's a really good leader. I believe that he has a good voice in the locker room. I believe that his daily habits are excellent. The conversations that I've had with him, he cares deeply about his teammates, about this team, about striving for success for this team. And those are the qualities that you want in a captain: somebody who cares about their teammates, somebody who leads by example, somebody who is willing to face adverse situations and be the guy that says something or does something, or can right the ship. And he certainly has those qualities for me. Again, my time coaching him before was short. I do know him. The conversations that I've had with him so far have been excellent, and I'm really looking forward to working with him.
The last couple of years, and the last couple of years, some of the most talented players have been on both the power play, both the penalty kill, on special teams that play a lot. Do you like to ride with your guys, or do you like to maybe have a more balanced ice time sheet at the end of the night?
Again, this is just me personally as a coach, so I don't want to speak for other coaches, or that wouldn't be right, because I know that sometimes your first man out the door on the power play on defense, they'll try to control the minutes a little bit and not give them the penalty kill when they're a really good penalty killer. I believe you put the best players on the ice. I do think that you weigh different things into it with regard to a person's age, or back-to-back, or injuries, or whatever it might be when you're talking about minutes. At the end, it comes down to minutes. But for a defenseman to handle 27 minutes a night, I don't think that that's out of the ordinary. For a forward to handle 22 minutes, it's not. I remember back when I coached a player, I think it was Adrian O'Coin. I think there was 3 games where I played him over 40 minutes, which that to me might have been a little bit too much, and maybe I should have backed up. But guys want to play, and so I think you've got to put your best players on the ice to win a hockey game.
But do you also want a sheet where your fourth liners get 6 minutes a night, 7 minutes?
No, I mean, I would like to, I'd like to roll the bench. It's great when you can, you can be up 2-0 after 1, and then 4-0 after 2, and then 5-0 with an empty net goal, 6-0. That would be a perfect night, and you could get the roll of the bench that you want. And then, conversely, you might lean on the guys that you're talking about, the guys that might be able to check and contain, and like the penalty killers and the guys that can close down the game. Maybe they pick up some minutes at the end. And so I think the game factors into that, where it's at, and where your team's at, the situation of how many games and how many nights, back to back, the score, all of that plays into the minutes.
Peter, you coach some of the greatest players in the world. What's your approach to coaching star players, high-priced star players?
Inside the room, I don't really see it like that. You know what I mean? I don't have a different system for the first line player and the guy that plays 6 minutes. I don't have a different way that I treat. For me, everybody is part of the New York Rangers inside of that room, and I treat everybody the same. If there's things that you want to say or show in a positive way, you do it for everybody. If there's things that you want to say or show that need to be corrected, you do it for everybody. And for me, that keeps everybody together, and it doesn't separate it so much. I know the players that you're talking about, they're guys that want to be successful. My job is to help them be successful, but it's also my job and responsibility if somebody does play less minutes to make them successful and help them in any way that I can as well. And so I don't vary too much with how I talk to people or how I treat people inside the room. That's just, I've never been that way, and it would be difficult for me to be any other way.
Along the lines of the ice time question, do you have a set number of games you'd like to see Igor play? I mean, is it one of those things where I'd like him to play X number of games, or is it just kind of based on what's happening?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It seems like there's always a set number when you go into it, and that never happens, right? Because of injury or situations that might come up. But I think that in talking with Benoit, we'll come up with the right amount that we think. What I really like is that we have such a quality person and a quality goaltender in Jonathan Quick to back him up and to be there, a guy that's a leader and has won Stanley Cups 3 different times, and what he could bring to our team, and certainly when he comes onto the ice, the way he's able to play the game. And so I feel really fortunate to have the goaltending duo that we do have, and looking forward to watching them both succeed. And so there'll be a plan. It never follows out exactly to a T. Never.
You want to play 82 games and it
Yeah,
doesn't happen?
never.
All right,
So,
thank you very much.
thank you guys.